Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zeng here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Rank featuring the new Trick Room team, which is currently 4-1 after the last 2 days. Yesterday's episode, we were able to manage to fit in 3 games, so if you want to check that out, definitely go if you have not seen it already. We'll be jumping it right back onto the ladder, kicking it out from where we were, currently with a rating of 1601 with a record of 7-1 overall, as we continue to try to climb up into the 1700s. As always, if you enjoyed the series, please show your support by leaving a like on the video. Just takes a quick second, and it would mean a lot to me. Also, I uploaded Trainer Tip Tuesdays last night. That one features Best of 3 play, which is something that a lot of you guys have been asking about. So if you want to learn how to get better at Best of 3, definitely check that video out. Our first opponent of the day is going to be a 1602 rated player from Japan, so pretty, close in terms of rating, and we actually have quite similar team compositions in terms of 3 Pokemon. So my opponent here has Infernape, Hydreigon, Abomasnow, Milotic, Cresselia, and Mawile. So we both have Cresselia, Abomasnow, and Mawile. That's the same on both teams, which is kind of interesting to me. Though I don't think my opponent's nearly as Trick Room oriented as mine is, as my team is. As for leads, I'd really like to lead with Sylveon here because it counters everything but the Mawile. So I'm kind of risking myself here. Though I don't know, actually Mawile would make a lot of sense as a lead for my opponent. So I maybe want to go with Sylveon Heatran. Let's see. I feel like I definitely need to bring Mawile in this match, because it beats Cress, and Cress can't really do very much against it. I'm gonna have Cress here, just to try to set up Trick Room. It also beats Abomasnow and Infernape. I'll bring Mawile as the last one. Yeah, so this is gonna be one of the few times where I don't go with my Trick Room lead, mainly because I feel like I can kind of overwhelm my opponent with offense if I lead correctly here, and I don't know, I feel like Heatran and Sylveon is a very, very offensive lead. So we'll see what my opponent decides to go for. Looks like it's going to be that Hydreigon coming out paired with Infernape. So this is obviously a fantastic position for Sylveon, but Heatran not really going to want to stay in here because it can get close combated or earth powered. Presumably we're going to see a fake out onto Sylveon. Now the question here is, do I protect with Infernape? Because I don't know though. It's not like Hydreigon can really do much to a Sylveon, so I think Fake Out Earth Power would be the safest play for my opponent here, though I don't even know if he has Earth Power. So what I could do here is I'm actually going to, well, actually no, I should conserve Heatran. That was one of the mistakes I made in yesterday's episode, because my opponent does most likely have Mawile in the back. So I'm going to Hyper Voice here, and I'm actually going to switch out into Cress. That way I can try to set up Trick Room. So like I said, I don't want Heatran to faint here, because I know my opponent has the Mawile in the back, or most likely does. But we are going to see the Fake Out come out, definitely onto Sylveon. Yep, let's see what Hydreigon goes for. So that's actually, Life Orb Infernape, interesting. Yep, we do see the Earth Power into Cresselia, so that plays out absolutely perfectly. Could not have asked for a better turn. So I'm going to go for the Hyper Voice here, and I'm going to go for the Trick Room. So I don't even know if my opponent can KO Sylveon even with the double target here, which is why I'm feeling really good. We're actually going to see Infernape switch out, presumably into Mawile, but it's actually going to be Cresselia, which is another fine Pokemon for my opponent to switch into. It's actually going to be the double switch, as I think we're going to see Mawile come out here. Yep. But the thing is, normal Mawile cannot actually take a Choice Specs Hyper Voice from Sylveon well at all. It's probably actually going to do over 50% here, so Intimidate obviously not affecting either my Pokemon, so I'm going to get this Hyper Voice off, and I'm going to be able to set up Trick Room, as Hyper Voice does so much damage to both of my opponent's Pokemon there, and Trick Room does successfully go up. Now this will be a bit interesting, because my Sylveon is actually min speed, with 0 speed IV, so I don't know how fast my opponent's Mawile is. Though it's actually probably a good idea just to bring in Heatran here. I'm actually going to double switch right now. Cresselia is kind of dead weight, so I just want to put up as much pressure as possible. And right now my opponent's definitely feeling pressure to knock out this Sylveon, because Mawile is the only Pokemon that can beat my Sylveon. So right now I want to conserve that Sylveon, because once obviously his Mawile goes down, Sylveon beats the Hydreigon and the Infernape in the back. And this way I also get the Intimidate out with my Mawile. So that last turn played out really well. We'll see how this one plays out, as Mawile is going to Mega Evolve. That's actually better for me here. So he can't intimidate me anymore. And let's see. Goes for the Iron Head onto Heatran. Yep, perfect. Heatran obviously being able to resist that as Cresselia goes for a Calm Mind. Ooh, interesting. Though I'm not very worried about that just because I have a Mawile in right now, and Mawile can just beat the Cresselia with a Play Rough. So I'm just going to go for the Heat Wave, Mega Evolve, and Play Rough here. And I definitely got to be feeling pretty good about my position right now. I feel like the last 2 turns played out as well as they really could have. Given the fact that I was able to set up Trick Room, I was able to conserve that Sylveon. Right now I'm just making the safer plays, and it's really difficult for my opponent to punish me, especially because, you know, you've got a Cresselia and a Mawile out against a Heatran, and Heatran does very, very well here. No switches from my opponent here, so Mawile is going to Mega Evolve. Presumably, we're going to see my opponent protect with Mawile and try to get an attack off with Cresselia. If he doesn't protect with Mawile, he's going to be done for. But yep, Protect does come out here, so I actually could have taken advantage of this situation by going for the substitute with Heatran, as Play Rough does knock out Cresselia there with a critical hit as the Rocky Helmet comes out, but I really just wanted to knock out Crest there, because I'm not sure if Play Rough would have knocked him out there. But I'm not going to complain, as that's another turn of Trick Room gone, but Cresselia goes down, and that was definitely a big threat. So Infernape's probably going to come out here, but it's actually going to be the Hydreigon, which I was not anticipating, which is even better for me, because now I can just Earth Power the Mawile and play Rough Hydreigon. I feel like he could have given himself a chance of winning this if Infernape came out at least to stall out another turn of Trick Room, but no Protects coming out here, no switches out, so Hydreigon falls down to this Play Rough, and he is going to be able to at least outspeed my Infernape, getting the Iron Head off, but at -1 it's not going to do too much, and Earth Power here is going to pick up the knockout into Mawile. So I'm kind of surprised that Infernape didn't come in, but I guess my opponent just had no answers to deal with once Trick Room went up. I mean, that is a testament to this team, as I keep on mentioning. And I feel like leading with Sylveon was definitely the right call because it put on so much offensive pressure. And I'm really glad I made that switch to Cresselia because, like I said, Heatran was my best answer to dealing with this, the Mawile my opponent had. So given that Trick Room is still up, I'm just going to go for a sub-play rough in case my opponent fakes out the Mawile, but he's just going to forfeit there. So I am able to take a pretty clean win, a 4-1 actually, in this first game of the day. I feel like once Trick Room got up, my opponent just had no answers to it. And I mean, that is a testament to how strong Trick Room is. As I've really mentioned in the last 2 episodes as well, I feel like so many teams are just ill-prepared for Trick Room, so once it goes up, it kind of just sweeps through. It was kind of scarier to set up this time around, you know. The Infernape Hydreigon lead makes a lot of sense because my opponent was probably expecting Cresselia right away, and that's exactly why I did not want to lead with Cresselia. I saw how good spec Sylveon was against my opponent's entire team. I decided I'd take advantage of that. So we're going to climb to 16-17 as we look for the second game of the day. ST Van from Mexico with a rating of 1554 will be our next opponent. So hopefully we can climb up to 1700 pretty quickly. He's got a team of Landorus Team, Metagross, Hydreigon, Jellicent, Terrakion, and Zapdos. So very familiar. Resembles Zactro's team from Missouri Regionals a lot, though Zapdos they replaced the Thundurus. But pretty scary team. I think as a Cresselia user, you never really want to see Pokemon like Metagross or Hydreigon just because they're very difficult to beat and they can get you know, strong attacks off. So, let's see what I want to lead with. Honestly, I'm tempted to go with Sylveon once again, just because if my opponent doesn't lead with Metagross, though Metagross would make a lot of sense as a lead here. Metagross definitely gives me a lot of trouble. It's a bummer. Abomasnow is really good against 5 of my 6 opponents' Pokemon, though. And I do kind of want to bring the Abomasnow. This is one of the matches where if I were to set up Trick Room, it would be great, but then the thing is Cresselia would be dead weight. So I guess this is one of the games where I kind of wish I had another Trick Room user. For example, actually no, I don't even know what Trick Room user would be good here. The thing is, Metagross Hydreigon that's such a good duo against really any kind of Trick Room user. Let's see. You know what? I'm gonna go with Cresselia and Sylveon, that way I can try to set up Trick Room. I feel like I need Heatran here to beat the Metagross. For the last one, it's between Mawile and Abomasnow. Honestly, Abomasnow is real tempting here because it can knock out almost everything my opponent has. But it feels a bit weird to keep Mawile away from this game. Mawile also gives me another answer to Metagross with Sucker Punch, whereas if I bring Abomasnow, I'd really have to rely on Heatran. So right now I'm really considering, is it worth bringing Abomasnow over Mawile? I feel like it is, though. I don't know. With the Sash, you can just one-hit KO almost everything, so I'm going to bring it here. Like, if I can get this Heatran to knock out the Metagross, then Abomasnow does a great job. I don't know, so I'm trading Mawile in terms of another way to effectively beat the Metagross for this Abomasnow. So I might regret this, but we'll see. But we're going to see Terrakion and Hydreigon come out for my opponent here, which is very, very good for my lead here, as I did go with Cresselia Sylveon. Once again, my opponent just walking into this Sylveon lead. So I'm going to go straight for the Trick Room and the Hyper Voice. I presume my opponent's going to go for some flinch shenanigans right from the start. For example, a Rock Slide and a Dark Pulse. We are going to see Rock Slide come out here, so I'm really hoping I can avoid the flinches, but probability is not in my favor here. The Dark Pulse here is going to target down Cresselia. Interesting. I am going to be able to survive, so if Sylveon is able to get an attack off here, that would be great. If I were to get both of my attacks off, I honestly think that could give me such a huge advantage. Let's see. Sylveon gets the Hyper Voice off. That is great because that's going to knock out the Hydreigon, bring Terrakion down to its presumably sashed. Or, that was weird grammar there, but yeah, presumably it was sashed, so that's going to bring it down to its sash. Now, if Cresselia gets his TR off, I think I can win outright, but I am unfortunately going to flinch there. However, I do think that was the best move for my opponent in terms of probability, so I can't fault him for making that play. That does make things a bit more tricky. Now, let's see. So I am kind of regretting not bringing the Mawile right now, just because I could the Metagross is going to Mega Evolve here, so the following turn I could Intimidate it. But what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to go for the Trick Room once again and the Hyper Voice. The main issue here for my opponent is he has to, look, I'm going to get an attack off with one of my Pokemon because he's either going to Rock Slide, and Rock Slide can't KO Cresselia in that range. So, let's see. Yep, Terrakion does go for the Rock Slide. Cresselia actually manages to avoid it, which is some good luck in my favor there. Sylveon does take this. Iron Head is going to target down the Sylveon! Okay. So, I guess my opponent was going for another flinch there, or maybe he expected, maybe he expected me to faint from the Rock Slide, but that's fantastic for me because Trick Room goes up and I get a free switch into Heatran, and this is exactly the scenario I wanted. I thought he might try to target down that Cresselia, and I was fine taking the knockout onto Terrakion because then I'd have Heatran to deal with Metagross, and Terrakion's one of the biggest threats to Heatran, but now I'm feeling really good. So, I think I'm just going to go for the... I kind of want to sub here, but nah. Yeah, I'm just going to Psychic Terrakion and Heat Wave here. Life Orb Heat Wave should knock out Metagross, as Metagross goes for the Protect. That's fine with me. As, yeah, I just knocked the Terrakion out with the Heat Wave. So I could have went for the sub there, but I'm just trying to get as much offense off possible right now. The Terrakion is going to faint here, and this is actually really good because I knock out the Metagross the following turn. And Abomasnow beats whatever my opponent has in the back. So in the long run, this actually ended up working out really nicely. Of course, the game's still not over yet, but the thing is, you know, when you plan these games out, like, you see your game plan at the end. So I'm actually going to go for the Helping Hand Earth Power to ensure that I don't miss the attack here. And now I'm really glad I brought Abomasnow because Abomasnow is the perfect Pokemon to have against the Jellicent in the late game. So with Life Orb and the Helping Hand boost, this Earth Power should knock out the Metagross. Let's see. Falling. Yep, does pick up the KO. That is why I like Helping Hand a lot. It allows me to make those safer plays, because if I were to miss Heat Wave there, I actually would have lost the game. So, 100% guaranteed win there with the Earth Power connecting, as Scald doesn't even knock out my Heatran here. So, once again, 2 really quick games. Maybe I'll go for a 3rd game once again in today's episode. I guess that's the merit of using such a fast team. So I'm just going to Earth Power Psychic here, as, you know, having a Sash Abomasnow in the back is basically going to seal the game up. And Jellicent does go for a Scald. That's actually slower than my Cresselia, so it's able to outspeed me outside of Trick Room, or inside Trick Room. So Heatran faints there, Cresselia gets a Psychic off, and even though I was doubting myself, as Curse Body actually activates there, even though I was doubting myself for not bringing the Mawile, it ends up working out perfectly. Things could have actually gone really poorly if my opponent decided to target down Cresselia there instead. Just because Jellicent beats the Heatran, which I was relying on to beat the Metagross. So I feel like my opponent misplayed a bit here. Had he just targeted down Cresselia, making sure Trick Room didn't go up, he would have won. Though I feel like I was just in a good position from the start, given that he had no option or no answers to the Trick Room. So I shall just Helping Hand and Wood Hammer here, and that's going to be game. I guess there wasn't much of a reason to help. No, I don't know. At this point, it's just making sure Yep, Woodhammer does connect there. That's actually the first time I've seen that animation, and we are going to be able to pick up a win here. So, ultimately, bringing Abomasnow was the right call, because it was one of the best answers I could have had against the Jellicent there. So, we're going to be able to pick up yet another win in today's episode. And since, once again, I think it's this is quite the quick episode, I'm going to go look for a third game. So, I mean, as for using this team, that's what happens, you know? You end up getting paired with these... or you just end up with games that go by really quickly because, I mean, like I said, the strategy of this team is literally to win in 5 turns, set up Trick Room, and sweep with the 4 turns remaining. And so far, that strategy has been working out pretty well. So we're just going to look for our next opponent of the day. 9-1 start with this team so far, which is pretty nice. And that one loss, of course, was in yesterday's episode due to that ridiculous Game 3. It was actually a really, really great game. I misplayed here and there, as Ruby from Spain with a rating of 1549 is our next opponent of the day. So, gonna jump into team preview here. Ruby with a team of Clefable, Salamence, Suicune, Zapdos, Terrakion, and Heatran. So, looks like a bunch of combination of the teams that have been popular. Of course, I am very familiar with using Mega Salamence, given that it was the team I built around originally, or the Mega I built around. Clefable here is gonna be annoying because of redirection. Once again, though, looks like my opponent does not have any great answers to Trick Room. Heatran's probably something I'm gonna want to watch out for, though. Once again, I feel like Cresselia Sylveon is a fantastic lead. Yeah, I'm just gonna go with those two. And I'm gonna want, I think, my own Heatran to beat my opponent's Heatran because it can outspeed on their Trick Room and Earth Power. This is actually a really tough call. Because all my opponent, there's like a reason to bring all my Pokemon here. While obviously being the Mega Evolution would be great. I really want a Abomasnow here too. I mean, last game it was definitely worth it bringing a Abomasnow. This time around, I'm not as sure. And I might want Hariyama just because I don't like having Heatran as my one way of beating Heatran. I guess one thing you'll realize in this team is that it's like Steel and Fire types definitely give me some trouble. I don't know, I feel like because of the Abomasnow I have in Team Preview, though, my opponent might be scared of bringing the Pokemon that are weak to it. Though the thing is, he has to bring at least 2 Pokemon Abomasnow beats. I don't know, it's just that Heatran's really scaring me off. I don't even know if I want to bring Mawile. Maybe I'll go with Hariyama here. I'm actually going to go with Hariyama, yeah. The reason being is Hariyama can still one-hit KO Heatran and Terrakion. It can Ice Punch Zapdos and Salamence. It can knock off. So, this was a really tough call to make. It's weird to have Hariyama in the back, especially because I like to lead with it so much, but I feel like Sylveon, once again, just has so much offensive pressure, and my opponent doesn't have many ways to really stop it. Though, I guess in retrospect, should my opponent lead with Mega Salamence here, I might be in some trouble. And he is going to lead with Salamence and Heatran, a fantastic lead for my opponent here against my Sylveon and my Cresselia. So this is definitely problematic. And just thinking about it, I don't think I had many great answers really to even deal with this lead matchup. What I'm going to do, however, is actually switch out into Heatran with my Sylveon and go for a Trick Room. I think if my opponent's smart here, he's going to double-edge Sylveon and substitute with Heatran, and if Heatran gets a substitute up, that's going to be really problematic. However, that is why I brought Hariyama, because I need another answer, like I said, to that Heatran. But a pretty safe play for my opponent here. If I'm my opponent, I'm going to double-edge Sylveon and go for the substitute. However, that does mean I get Trick Room up, but the thing is, one of the best ways to beat Trick Room is through substitute and protecting. Of course, I am assuming that this Heatran carries sub-protect, but that's the most common Heatran set. But fantastic choice in terms of Pokemon for my opponent for the lead matchup. And I'm honestly trying to think of what I could have done to outlead my opponent, and I can't think of anything. I guess leading with Heatran, but then we would have had Mind Games immediately. So that was a really great decision on my opponent's end. Salamence here is going to Mega Evolve, so it's not going to have Intimidate anymore, but of course, Intimidate being replaced for Aerialate. It's going to increase the power of return / Double Edge. Salamence goes straight for the double edge onto, yep, Heatran. So I did predict that correctly. That does a ton of damage even though I resist it. As let's see what his Heatran goes for. Oh, wow! The plays! Nicely done on my opponent's end. Going for the double target into the Sylveon slot there. Getting the KO. So I'm going to set up Trick Room, but I lost Heatran, and Heatran was a pretty darn important Pokemon in this matchup. So nicely done by my opponent there. Now, I do have HP ground on my Sylveon, so I am very tempted right now to bring out my Sylveon, baiting him into attacking with this Heatran. And I think that's what I'm going to go for. So I'm going to go for the Hidden Power Ground and the Ice Beam onto Salamence. This is kind of a risky play, but I don't know. I'm not sure how bulky that Salamence is, so I'm not sure if Ice Beam can KO, and that's my biggest threat, or my biggest fear. And my Hariyama doesn't have max attack investment either, so there's a chance that the Heatran could live a close combat as well. So, I'm banking off Salamence protecting and Heatran going for attack. Though in retrospect, I guess Hariyama would have made a bit more sense. Okay, neither protects, so I do get the Hidden Power Ground off, boosted by Choice Specs. Oh, doesn't knock out Heatran though. Oh, that's problematic for me. So Ice Beam, oh, however, does pick up the KO onto Salamence. Okay, so things not as bad as I thought they would have been, because if that Salamence were to have gotten a double edge off, it would have been really, really bad. I mean, things still not amazing for me here, but I definitely needed the Salamence to get KO'd there. Unfortunately, I do take a burn with this Cresselia, though, and that does not bode well with me, just because Cresselia is a Pokemon that never likes to be burned, because that residual damage really picks up. So that was an alright turn. In retrospect, given that Ice Beam could have KO'd, Hariyama would have made the better switch in, since I'm locked into HP ground as well right now, but I can't really complain. I got a lot of offense that turn, and the game is now 3-3, and I can pick up a knockout on this Heatran this following turn. It will kind of come down to what my opponent switches in here, though. I would think my opponent knows I'm Choice Specs at this point, but we'll see. I thought HP Ground would KO there, but I guess not. I should do that damage calc to really know. But it's good to know in the future that Heatrans can survive that. Of course, Hidden Power being nerfed down to 60 base power does hurt it a lot. You know, back in VGC 2012 and 2013, Hidden Power Fire and Ice was everywhere. Suicune comes in for my opponent here. I don't mind seeing that very much. I wonder if the Heatran can get KO'd by a Psychic. I feel like it won't be able to. So, Suicune doesn't beat Sylveon. I'm just going to go for the Hidden Power onto Heatran, and I'm going to switch out into... Well, actually, I'm thinking maybe I should switch Sylveon out and try to KO Heatran with a Psychic, because Psychic might be able to KO it. Though if it can't, that would be bad. You know what? I'm going to switch out into Hariyama, and I'm going to go for the Psychic onto Heatran, hoping to knock it out. The reason why I'm switching out Sylveon here is I know Sylveon's my answer to win in the late game, because even outside of Trick Room, Sylveon is a boss. You know, it's one of the reasons why I lead with it so much. And right now, you know, my opponent might protect with that Heatran. If he does, then I get a free switch into Hariyama, and Hariyama's a great Pokemon to deal with both Suicune and Heatran. Even if Psychic does not KO Heatran here, another one should KO it, and I don't know. I think right now the best play for my opponent is to just protect with that Heatran. So I'm gonna predict that protect, and switch out into Hariyama to try to get some more momentum into my favor. No protect coming up, but I do get the Psychic off. Will it be enough to knock out Heatran? Oh, it hangs on with what looks like literally 1 HP. So, unfortunately, this Heatran is going to get a Heat Wave off. That is not good news for me, but Hariyama with that Assault Vest taking it like a champ. That burn is really hurting right now, though. I feel like without the burn, I might have been able to even set up another Trick Room, but the turns are slowly ticking down. The Suicune does get a Scald off against Hariyama, so... Hariyama takes the burn as well. That might actually work in my favor, given that I'm Guts, but I don't know. Right now, the residual damage is just too much to bear with. So this is a scary end game right now. And, man, I really wish Crest didn't get burned, but it is what it is. I think I'm going to target down this Suicune this next time with a Helping Hand Close Combat. I don't know, though. Maybe that was a bit too aggressive of a play. I think it would have been better to just Psychic Heatran in close combat, but I really want Suicune gone. But, Also wondering what my opponent's last Pokemon is. He doesn't have Flash Cannon on that Heatran, I'm guessing, given that it has leftovers. I'd assume it's Substitute. That was a great first turn play by my opponent, though. Like, losing Heatran there was kind of bad. Though, in actually retrospect, I'm kind of glad I lost Heatran, but, yeah, I don't know. I didn't want to leave it to a damage roll, but in retrospect, switching in Hariyama over Sylveon would have been better. Because, you know, I was expecting HP Ground to KO there, but it ended up not. And Psychic bringing Heatran down to, I think, what was like 1 HP there was kind of bad too. But, I guess in retrospect, just going for the HP Ground Psychic would have been better as well. Okay, we'll see. So I do get the Helping Hand off here, obviously. Does he protect with either of his Pokemon? No protect coming out, wow. So I do knock out Suicune there because of the Helping... So unnecessary helping hand there in the long run, I guess. But I do pick up a KO there, but we're going to see a Heat Wave come out from that Heatran. Let's see, does it knock me out? I don't think so. Yeah, you can see how much the burn is hurting me right now, though. And this Heatran just isn't protecting, and Heatran is the bigger threat, so I'm kind of mad at myself for not targeting it down. It's going to come down to what my opponent's last Pokemon is, but I feel like I did not play this game as well as I really should have. The burn has hurt Cresselia so much, though, because I feel like I would have been able to get another Trick Room up, but I can't complain. But Terrakion is my opponent's last Pokemon. Interesting. That obviously loses to Sylveon, but Sylveon might just faint from a Heat Wave Rock Slide. And I can't switch out either. Unfortunately, it's going to come down to whether a single target Rock Slide and Heat Wave can KO it, and I think it will be able to, but I guess we'll see. I'll just go... Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. What did I do? Heatran protects. Okay. Oh, I didn't count Trick Room correctly. Oh my god. So, I had one more turn of Trick Room. I thought it ended. So what I would have done was I would have switched out. Okay, so this is still possible because Cress isn't going to faint here, but Hariyama should faint from burn. Okay, so I mean, it ends up working out how I would have done it anyway. Actually, no. What I would have done was I would have switched out Hariyama into Sylveon. Actually, no. I guess that works out alright. So the reason why this works out is now Rock Slide is a single target attack. Or not a single, it has to target both of my attacks. So a Sylveon's going to be able to survive. It's going to come down to whether, one, I flinch or not, or two, Terrakion is Focus Sash. So I'm just going to go for the Hyper Voice and the Helping Hand. Cresselia is obviously going to go down this turn. So, moment of truth here. For how bad that last turn looked, I mean, it actually ended up working out in my favor. So Terrakion, oh, it actually misses the Cresselia, which means Heat Wave's going to do less damage as well. So it's, like I said, it's going to come down to this flinch or not. And that miss might have been crucial, we'll see. So does Sylveon get an attack off? It gets the Hyper Voice off! Is it enough? Is it enough? Oh, it's Sash Terrakion. It's Sash Terrakion. What a great game, though. I mean, I'm gonna lose by 1 HP here, but I deserve to lose this one. Like, I should have targeted down that Heatran way more aggressively. But so I was expecting to protect this entire time, and it made a lot of sense why my opponent didn't go for the protect, because he knew he had more turns of Trick Room. So unfortunately Sylveon is going to fall here. I was hoping Terrakion would be Lum Buried. My opponent's going to go for that 100% accurate close combat, which is going to knock out Sylveon. So I'm going to end up losing this game by 1 HP. I don't mind that, though. My opponent played fantastically, and I feel like this also demonstrated a couple of weaknesses in terms of me playing with this team. For example, perhaps targeting out Suicune wasn't the best of idea because Suicune wasn't the threat. Heatran with the Heat Waves was definitely a bigger threat, and if you look at the way my opponent's team, like, once Heatran went down, he had no way to really beat my my Hariyama. So, in retrospect, a bunch of misplays I can point out in this game. First of all, bringing in Sylveon instead of Hariyama because I knew I was going to lock myself into HP ground. Second of all, not targeting Heatran down when I could have, just because I was really scared of Scald Burns. And I mean, it did burn the Sylveon slot, but at the same time, I should have just went for the HP ground. And then third of all, I was expecting Psychic to KO. I think if I had a higher damage roll there, it could have been game over. But what I should have done was just HP grounded. So a lot of misplays, honestly, in my part there. But my opponent played a really good game, and I feel like he definitely deserved the win there. So I don't mind losing. It was a fantastic match, and it was one of those games where I really wish I could have a best of 3 because, I've learned so much information. I feel like I could adjust a bit better. But 3 great games today as well. So once again, 2 fast games and a third one, which is really intense, which I end up losing. But I don't mind. We are learning a lot with this team as we go. And so far, the over record with this team is 6-2, so I don't mind that as well. Both of the losses being really close as well. But anyway, that's it for this one, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I did. Leave a like if you did. Check out yesterday's Road to Ranked if you did not see it already. And Trainer Tip Tuesdays if you want to improve your best of 3 play. But yeah, that's it for this one, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Alright, peace.